Hello, hello. So we're doing something a little different today because we have a special guest with us. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for
Hello.
joining us.
Hello.
Hey, Daniel, what's happening?
Thank you for having me. Hi.
So Daniel was one of the first people that emailed me to say, "Hey, I want to join you guys." So we're going to be kind of light and breezy again today, but we want to just take the opportunity to get to talk with you. I loved getting to hang out with you on Tuesday. So tell us a little more about yourself and how you got into prop making, how you found the RPF.
Okay. So I had back in the day, like 3 years ago, I developed an interest in prop collecting in general, and then I found Adam Savage's videos on Tested, and after that, when I googled certain things about the Blade Runner blaster, for example, I always came up to the RPF. Finally, I created an account, and I found like hundreds and hundreds of threads that were going so deep. It's like a deep rabbit hole, and I fucking love rabbit holes. So uh, I went down the rabbit hole. I found out so much about Blade Runner, about different things that were in the movie, about different props, and that is just it just gives me joy when I'm sad, um, or when I have a rough times in life. I just always come back to it and find myself doing something on Blade Runner props, or yeah, that's how I got into that.
No, that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. The RPF. Adam's always been a good advocate for the RPF. He's always sure to mention it in his videos. And for those of you who don't know who are watching this, if you've never been on the RPF, it's short for Replica Prop Forum. It's been around for decades. It's where a lot of us originally met. Um, when I say a lot of us, just the community at large. Jared, who's worked with numerous companies over the years, myself, Amy, all of us have always kept an eye on the RPF, and I'm still a big fan and participate there when I can. And pretty much when I was really getting active in props, that's one of the first place I did a bunch of private runs. I mean, dating way back in the day. So it's good to give the RPF a shout out and make sure people know what a cooperative community it is. If you ever get hung up on a prop or a detail, you can go there and people are real quick to help you. And back in the day when we had the prop renaissance, when people were still counting how many blades were on how many wiper blades were on a lightsaber handle, or what the flash suppressor was on Solo's blaster, all those things, that's where a lot of that info was mined, and where it came to light from. Same thing on the original, the Blade Runner blaster, that sort of thing. Phil Steinschneider, Richard Coyle, a lot of those guys did a lot of the legwork that really started to educate us all on where so many of these pieces came from, and it's come a long way. So it's good that you found your way there.
Yeah.
Many a time I've used the RPF as a fantastic source for reference because the members that are on there are incredibly uh, talented at not only making the props but digging up all the reference, and they're so eager to share it with the community. It's a fantastic resource. Those guys are great.
Yeah, can't say enough good about it. Art does a good job. Art Andrews does a good job running the place,
Yep.
and it's in good hands. So there we go. Gave the RPF some love. That's a good thing. What else you got, Amy? Which way are we going with this today?
Well, Daniel, one of the questions that I had you prep because I think it's really fun. Tell us what your favorite prop you own is.
Okay. The favorite prop that I own is, I mean, it's, I guess, obvious because I put like 100 hours into it. Is my self-made, 3D printed, um, aluminum barrel Blade Runner blaster. I also own the Tomonosuke, which is amazing. I never take it out of the case though, but that was
It's
like
it's
my
hermetically
it's
sealed.
it's like my little baby, and no one is allowed to touch it beside me. But always if I hand it out to people, they're like, oh, it's quite heavy. And I'm like, yeah, I put like an aluminum barrel on it. I put here the receivers out of metal. Um, uh, it's just such an amazing prop, and still to this day, people find little details about it, and that is really fascinating to see how many things are just. Even with the 4K release, some new things came to light, and that's just fantastic to me. Yeah.
No, it's great, and your blaster looks great too. We were all, for everybody who's watching, we were looking at it before we went into the video, and Daniel was telling us about all the work he put into it. So, yeah, it looks great, man. Now, I'm just noticing your shirt. I love your shirt, of course. Did you see our Joy Emanator video we just did the other day?
Yes, I did see it, and I'm so happy that somebody and someone is making this prop, and I'm glad that you guys are doing it, because
Oh, that's nice.
I know that you will put love into it, and I've seen your videos on it. You're always handling it with the gloves and stuff, and that's so great that we get the most detailed, po- uh, the de- mm, the most possible, most detailed possible prop that we can get. So that is fucking amazing, and I love it. And I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
w-
that was.
and I can't wait, and I can't wait for it to release.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about it real quick. Just outside of some of the stuff we talked about on the video, because it was kind of just quick and dirty. Um, when we started researching that, it's been a little while in the in the process. It took me a minute to find out who made them for the film. Of
Mhm.
course, we had a couple ways we could come at this. We knew where the original props from the film were. It was just a matter of getting access to them. Um, we were in a little bit of a rush to get everything in development, and some level of pre-development. So I had coincidentally around the same time we were trying to liberate the original props from storage. I found the company who actually made them for the film, and just through a long-winded conversation one day, I was like, you know what, can I just buy one? Can we work out, where I can purchase a shot pull? You guys make one of these for us exactly like you made it for the film, and then we'll have our hands-on reference. It doesn't get any better than that. We talked about, replicate it down to exactly how you did the electronics for it, and we'll purchase it. So we had to get all of our studio permissions and everything to allow them to do that for us. And
Yeah.
once we got all of our clearances and everything was sorted out, they FedExed us the emanator. So not only did we get the physically built emanator, we got all the files. And then
Wow.
in the comments, a lot of people have asked, are you going to do the box that it comes in? So you
Yes.
you see it. You see a quick unopening. There's of course the outer bubble wrap. We're not going to do the bubble wrap. And then there's a quick glimpse of an orange cartridge that the black box
Mm.
comes out of, the coffin as we call it, that holds the emanator. We are going to do the black box that the emanator sets in. We're
Yeah.
going to skip the orange outer case because one, you barely see it. It's intended to be like just a futuristic shipping carton. But what they used in the film, that's and I saw some people guessing at it online. It's actually an ink toner cartridge. It's a
Yes.
cartridge holder, so an industrial, like you'd see in one of the big Roland 6-foot printing machines. It's a industrial toner cartridge holder, and it was the prop maker from the film. It was actually, he was telling me about it. I'm like, what's up with the orange container? And he's like, it was a toner cartridge case that was sitting on my desk and everything fit in it. And he said he just was screwing around and it just fit, so he tossed it in there. So every time we add a new element to a prop, that makes the packaging get bigger and bigger and bigger. And of
Yeah.
course, even if it's just a few dollars to add bubble wrap, by the time we have to account for packaging and everything else, that's something that simple can make a prop be $50 more. So our goal is to we want to make the best prop replica possible, without changing anything, without compromising the prop. But sometimes when you get into a little too much filler that's outside of it, uh, especially when you barely see it, those are the things we wouldn't include. But for what you see in the film, the emanator setting within the black box with the magnet hinges and latches and everything on it. It's very ornate up close. Jared and I have spent a lot of time on this lately, and down to where I think there have been a couple pictures online, but joy is actually imprinted in the top of the box.
Yeah.
Even on the emanator, ever so faintly, it says joy, and there's the logo and everything that's on the emanator itself. But yeah, the studio was kind enough. They gave us everything. They gave us the files for the box, everything on the emanator, and that was one of those times the planets lined up. We were fortunate to be able to get everything, so we're really excited about that one. Some people have asked, is it going to do anything outside of light up? Well, again, we're replicating a screen used prop. We're not trying to give our take on it. We're not trying to make a toy of it. We want to make it exactly like it is in the film. So of course, people ask, hey, does it do X, Y, Z? Is it going to shoot an image? Again, people ask. So it's no, it's going to light up like it does in the film. And
Yeah.
the only thing we have to figure out is, of course, we can't put anybody's voice samples in it. That's not allowed. There would be property rights to that
Yeah.
we couldn't get. So we're going to make it do what you see it do in the film, and that's light up super bright and look cool on your shelf. And again, it'll have the case in it. But our goal is, if that piece were to come up for auction, like at Prop Store or any other prop house, what would it be when you bought it? It's going to be exactly as you saw it in the film. It's
Yeah.
going to be a cool prop that sits in a box and it lights up. The only thing we've got to decide is, as far as the power goes, are we going to put a replaceable battery in it, or are we going to do some kind of USB recharge? Because as I showed
Yeah.
in the video, it came with a really ornate recharging system that was really over engineered in the best possible way, but it's got its own dedicated weird charger for that little battery. And I think we need to simplify that part of it, just for
Yeah.
the masses. But other than that, what you see on the film is what you'll get, as far as the emanator goes. So there's that.
Wow.
Jared, you want to add anything to that, or Daniel, do you have
Um,
any questions for us about? I mean,
Uh, I mean, you have pretty much answered the the questions that I had about the Joy Emanator myself.
I have killed the
My,
conversation.
my, myself about the Joy Emanator. But one question I would have: what would be a company, a production company that you would like to work with? Like, is there any industry icon that you would love to work for, or have the opportunity to get your hand on a specific prop that you would recreate? Is there anything like that?
Let's think that one through. So like a studio or a production company.
Yeah.
Well, one of them. I mean, it I'll talk about this one because I'm stalling. I'm trying to give me the back of my mind, trying to come up with something. But we did recently sign on with Toho, and that was
Mm.
a dream company. We really wanted to work with Toho Studios because we all love Godzilla so much. And that one, when we originally started talking about it and talking with our rep here in the U.S., uh, we really only had a handful of things we wanted to do, just three or four items. And it wasn't until we realized how much stuff they actually have, all the stuff they've kept for
Yeah.
decades and decades, that our line plan, which is essentially our order of projects we want to do, it quadrupled, and it just a wonderful opportunity for us. There's a couple studios out there that we do want to work with, and we're actually in the process of getting some deals together. These are what we've been teasing lately, that we keep talking about. Hey, we got some news coming. We've got this cool new relationship with a
Yeah.
couple studios we want to talk about, and we're just waiting on approval before we can mention some of them. But I was trying to think of anything specific. There's a lot of little projects out there I would love to do. I don't know if it merits a whole studio relationship, but there's a couple projects. Like, I always loved the key from He-Man, the Masters of the
Okay.
Universe,
Yeah.
the cosmic key. I, if
Yeah.
there were ever an opportunity to just work with the studio, responsible for the film, I don't even recall who made that picture. Do you know, Jared? Do you know who made He-Man?
I don't know off the top of my head. No,
Um,
this
I
is the
haven't
Wasn't
Dolph
that
seen.
like
Lundgren one, right? This is the 85, 86 Dolph Lundgren
Yeah,
one we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Dude, I saw it in the theater when I was like 9 years old, and I don't think I've seen it since. So I
Uh,
would need a refresher on it.
but you know what the cosmic key is, though. The you know
Barely, I
what
barely remember it, but it sounds awesome.
Daniel? Do you know what I'm talking about, Daniel? Amy, do you
yeah,
know?
I know what you're talking about. Wasn't the studio like called TriStar or something? TriStar?
That sounds right. So,
That
TriStar,
does
which I
sound
think
right.
is now Sony, I think acquired TriStar, so it might be under their library, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Is it Sony who got TriStar? Is that right?
I want to say so. Columbia TriStar
Yes.
merged, and
Yes.
Sony owns Columbia. Yeah.
Columbia.
Well,
That's exactly what it
there's a $25,000 license right there.
Oh,
So yeah, some studios, when you go to do business with them and you want to license an item, a lot of times you could build a whole package. Like you could take multiple properties, and for a certain price, you could get all this cool stuff. Sony, who we love Sony, and everybody who works over there, uh, but it's 25K a project, so you got to really really want it to do something like that. But I love that piece. I mean, there's lots of little side props that have been done. A studio per se that we'd love to work with. I mean, there. Jared, what do you got?
There are several video game properties I would
Oh
love to
yeah,
take
yeah, it's
on
great.
mhm.
because I mean, video games. I think people get as emotionally invested in playing them as they do watching a film. Uh, A film is, you do watch it for about 2 hours, and it lives in a special place in your heart if it's like movies like I like Jaws, or other films like that. Video games, people spend hours and hours and hours on these things, being invested in them. There's so many elements to games that are so amazingly well designed, in-game props, weapons, tools.
Yeah.
I mean, so many opportunities there that I think are untouched and untapped, that I would love to explore. That's I would love to look at video games more. That's my take.
Well, damn it, we should do that. We
I've
should.
got some. I don't want to say specifically what they are, because I don't want anybody else to go, yeah, it's a good idea, and swoop in and
Well,
take
let's
it.
go
So
talk to them.
yeah, I'm gonna keep it.
Sure.
I'm gonna keep it close to the vest for now.
A
Well, we'll talk about it
suggestion.
later. I mean, go ahead,
Uh,
Daniel. I'm sorry.
a suggestion. The it's not from a game. It's from a video game movie. The T virus briefcase from
Oh, from
Resident
Resident
Evil.
Evil. Yeah,
That
See,
like the DNA twisted
yeah,
virus and antivirus. That is something that pops up frequently on like
yeah.
Etsy and stuff. And seeing that from a big company would be like, from a professional uh,
That's yeah.
standpoint, would be amazing. Like,
That's a great example of an in-game prop that um, people are so familiar with, because so many people have played it. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, all of them. Hours and hours of being emotionally invested in a story with some amazing character design, prop design. I think they would love to have those on display as every bit as much as they would love props from films.
yeah,
I think they go hand in hand.
And in our short amount of time, Paragon's been up and running. We've had the opportunity once or twice. People have come to us and asked us if we were interested in doing game related uh, projects, and we were just staying so busy with everything else we were trying to cultivate, that we didn't give it a lot of attention. But I do think you're right. I do think we should look into it a little bit more. And so yeah, we'll talk more about that. It's a good idea. So in short, we've dodged Daniel's question about which studios we want to work with. I will let me say it this way: some of the press releases that we're hoping to release soon address that very question, and
Yep.
so we are getting our wish list is actually being fulfilled. Where the the studios who we want to work with the most, we actually will be very soon. So that there's a way of saying nothing, but we'll. I think everybody will be happy when a couple of our press releases come out very soon, and then you will go, aha! That's what you were talking about, you sneaky bastard. That's what you were. That's what you were saying you wanted to make, and it'll make sense soon. It'll make sense very soon. But we're always, when you do this kind of work, you don't want to just go through the mind-numbing process of making something that you don't love. Like we've said it a million times, right, guys? Everything we've ever made, we really love it. We really want it to be done right. We don't just go and get something because it's popular, and then we're like, all right, well, the hell are we going to do with this? To really dig in and do what we do, and we've talked about it before. When you can literally lose 2 and 3 days just debating the color yellow, or yesterday we spent a good hour just talking about a 1/4 inch worth of packaging that's coming in one of our upcoming projects.
Yeah.
We were debating how we don't want the prop ever coming loose inside of the packaging and rattling around, and just the nuances of how the clamshell foam was going to meet up on the prop just so it can survive its journey to us and then to you or whomever. When you're doing that kind of thing, you got to love everything a little bit. You really got to like it. So we're really looking forward to some of our new relationships, our new partners that are coming on, and it'll make sense soon, I think. So there's a loose way of weaseling out of answering that right now because I can't. Anyway.
Well, Daniel, what's a prop that you have always wanted to see made, but it's not out anywhere from a company like us?
Beer.
Oh, you have Pepsi. That's one thing. I mean, there's a couple dozen that I would love to see, but of course, the Emanator, I know it's going to be made soon. So the other prop from Blade Runner 2049 that I would love to see is the portable eye scanner, like the thing that Kay uses to scan the eye.
Kind of the modern void comp.
Modern, yes, modern void comp.
One.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. There's been like floating around a couple of 3D printable files for it, but the sad thing is that the screen doesn't work on it, or that you have to use pictures, like to glue pictures down on it, and it just hasn't. It doesn't have the right feeling. But to ultimately decide on one, it would be the Joy Emanator. Yes, absolutely.
You got that done.
Well, we've got good news for you.
Yeah.
I was one of the 5 people asking for it.
and you're one of the 5 people that actually watch our videos. So thank you. So that's excellent.
Always a pleasure.
We've talked about it a little bit. The broken Emanator will come before the Hero Emanator, and the great thing about the broken Emanator is it's the same reference. The same studio that was kind enough to provide one of those for us as well. So it's just wonderful that we don't have to take any best guesses on parts or greeblies or anything else. It is simply as though it fell off the screen. We're wrapping that one up too. Just trying to think of anything else we could share that's interesting. What were we talking about yesterday? We talked about maybe just sharing some stuff that's in pre-production. We could go ahead and do that if you want to bring that up.
One of the things that I was excited about getting to talk about with Daniel on the show today is I don't think we've really talked about the spinner that we are working on at the moment. We're not far enough along yet to really share what we've got going on, but we are in pre-production and planning stages for a spinner at the moment.
Wow.
Jared, what's the scale that we're looking at?
We are looking at approximately 12 scale, since that was, we're making it from 2049, but in the original film, they made a 12 scale and I believe a 6 scale or quarter scale one for motion control models. So we want to make it feel like a motion control model, and 1/12 scale is a manageable size. Getting into quarter scale would be quite the feat, and maybe, never say never, maybe one day, but yeah, 12 scale is what we're looking at right now.
And 12 scale is really what did the bulk of the heavy lifting in the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one.
The larger quarter scale was just used for for close-ups, but the 12 scale was a lot of what you see on the screen as the motion control model.
And we're averaging at 12 scale from front to rear, roughly inchwise. Well,
Oh boy.
I mean,
Remember offhand?
I mean, you could just guess. I don't have it. I don't have my notes in front of me.
I want to say 22 inches,
Yeah,
4
yeah.
inches.
22 to
Don't
26.
hold our, yeah, don't hold our feet to the flames on that. But
Yeah, yeah.
again, we're in real early pre-development on all this. But essentially, you see the old spinner, at
Yeah.
Deckard's apartment
Yep.
before it gets blown up. So it's a good opportunity for us to be able to replicate that. But as Amy was saying, we're in very early pre-development on it. We're just getting all of our facts together. We're just starting to engineer things.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something we're going to do. Uh, as we've said in other videos, this is a really long relationship that we have, with our partner on all things Blade Runner 2049. And with everything, we kind of try to spread everything out. So when we reach
Yeah.
these levels of pre-development, I mean, we could be at this stage for about the next 3 months, and then probably start getting a little closer to some prototypes by the end of the year, and certainly a next year release project that way. But yeah, Amy, I think you're right. I don't think we've talked about it at all that we're going to even do that. So yeah, we'll definitely be looking at a studio scale spinner. So that'll be sweet.
Daniel, I really I knew that you loved Blade Runner as much as we did. And
Yeah.
so I was really excited to get to kind of give you some background information in here. So you're the
Wow.
first one officially to know.
I'm stoked.
Good deal. Do you have any other particular questions for us, Daniel? As far as what we do and how we do what we do, or anything
I
like
mean,
that? Because
yeah, like how did you end up on Paragon? I mean, is one of you like the idea giver for or how do you tackle certain um ideas that come to your mind? Do you have like little group meetings and then like, hey, I have this idea that we need to get out and share with the communities, and like, how do you develop at Paragon, or how did you come to the place where you are right now, and what are your like roles at Paragon? Like, I mean, it's
that's a
pretty,
great question. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so Amy is our perfect Amy. She handles a great many things. So in addition to keeping me somewhat sane, so I don't just fill my pockets full of rocks and walk into the ocean, Amy does a good job of keeping that from happening, and she handles all things on an executive administration level. Amy's the one who's responsible for fussing with customs and making sure everything ends up actually getting to us, in addition to our day-to-day grind. I'm the director of operations. So normally everybody either says nice things to me or really mean things to me throughout the course of the day, because the buck kind of stops with me on most things. Jared, well, I'll let Jared describe what he does in a second, because I'm not sure what he does. I really don't know why we pay him, but I mean, now that you mention it, I don't know why. No. Jared is a production manager, and he works with me a great deal in actually getting our concepts together. What we always say, concept to palette. So whenever we make a product, or let's say, like, let's just use the Blade Runner spinner as an example. So the way that would happen is, fortunately, we were already licensed with our partner to do Blade Runner otherwise we'd had to have gone and run down that license and make sure nobody was making the very thing we wanted to make. But so we would do a thing called we would do a concept submission where we explain to our partner what we want to make and how big it's going to be and what we're going to sell it for. And at that point, if they agree, we can, okay, concept approved, then we start getting into development and sculpt. And there's different stages that you go to before you can realize a product. And as long as all those little channels are checked off, ultimately you get to make an item and deliver it to collectors. But as far as how Paragon started, all of us have worked, with different companies and for
Yeah.
and in association with, I mean, name it, Warner Brothers, Sony. I mean, we could just name drop all the studios, either directly for or in association with. We've all worked at one time or another. It's actually kind of a small pond of people who do what we do. We all know each other, so all of our counterparts at other companies. I mean, most of us know each other and are friends, and we've dealt with one another for years and years. But how Paragon came about, I was just sitting here thinking about, do I really want to tell the truth of exactly how Paragon came about? And I love to talk about our guy Tom. So there's one guy who is Zeus like at Paragon, who you never see him, you'll never hear his voice. He just kind of
He's Robin Masters.
he works our puppet strings from above, and yes, he's like Robin Masters on Magnum. You never see him. He's like Charlie on Charlie's Angels. You never see the guy, but he he actually with me, we came up with the idea to start Paragon, and it was really just kind of through a simple frustration. I was working with some other companies and was still a private prop maker, and just wasn't working with any one company, directly. Uh,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it was like on a Tuesday, and I was just fussing about something somebody had done. And he's like, I've been listening to you complain for like 10 years about this. You should just start your own prop company. And I'm like, really expensive. I've gone down that road. I've worked with a lot of other licensed prop companies. And he ultimately, the conversation was that simple. He goes, what would it take to start one? How much would it cost? What do you need from me? And I spelled it all out, and he said, "Go." That's really how it happened. Was that simple? I was just complaining one day, and he goes, "Tired of hearing you bitch. Why don't you start your own company?" And he agreed to back it. So
Wow. That's
that's really how it came about. Was just through idle chit chat and banner one day, and then came the process of kind of running down a few licenses. So in the beginning, it was just me, and our Tom giving us the financial support to get everything going.
yeah.
We knew we had to have a lot of rooms, so we bought some land. We built a big warehouse and office facility, and started running down licenses. And there's a process when you're a new company. If the studios don't know who you are, sometimes you got to
Yeah.
get some low hanging fruit first. But we were fortunate, we had some friends and acquaintances, at the studios, and that kind of helped us land some of our early licenses. And then once you're a member of one country club, the other
Yeah.
guy thinks you're okay, So we came across our licenses and turned out a lot of product in a very short amount of time. And Tom and I were of like mind. Let's do this unlike other companies, and let's not do this whole everything's a pre-sale up front and make people wait for a year and a half and you tie their money up and that sort of thing. Let's just produce some stuff, show up with it, and say, "Hey, here it is, come get it." So that helped us early on just to be able to cultivate an audience. And then we added Amy and then Jared and everybody else. There's a lot of people you guys don't see on these videos. But yeah, there's a long-winded way of just saying it was just an idle conversation one afternoon, and my closest friends saying, "Do that, I got you. Let's do this." So that's how it really came about. And he's been insufferable and nagged me every single moment since then. So it was, he finally gets to win arguments. He never could win an argument until he invested, millions of dollars with me. But I sometimes think he built a prop company just so he could have the upper hand. Um, so he could win an argument every once in a while, saying, hey, I'll shut you down or I'll fire you, which he probably will. He'll fire me sooner or later. One day, you guys are going to come on these videos, and it's going to be Jared and Amy, and they're going to be like, "Hey, look, Rise on a long walk. He's taking his long walk into the cursed earth. Tom finally had it with him, but no, that's really how that came about. And I mean, if you guys want to go around the horn, I mean, Jared, you've been around a long time. You work with a lot of people. I kind of just simplified your duties a little bit, but go ahead there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what I'm doing in a lot of product development and production. So that means, like Rylan said, we kind of ideate on what we can make within the categories of our license. Or if we don't have that license, we'll think of a cool idea and go to that studio and be like, we really want to do this. And sometimes it's just a general description of what we want to make as a concept. Other times we have to do an actual drawing or some kind of illustrative effort to show the studio the idea, the intent of what we want to make. And then it's a bit of a chess game after that. We have to think one step ahead. With the sculpting development team that we put together, they always have to be directed in a certain way, so we can always make these things to be produced by our overseas suppliers, our overseas partners.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's a bit of a chess game. We always want to make sure we're making it so we can make it a producible item down the road. There's been some times in some past projects in past roles where we've made things and then come to find out, oh, we've made it like way too nice, and our supplier cannot replicate it as we've presented it.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a chess game there. You've got to think one step ahead. And like Rylan said, it's concept to palette. We develop it. It's produced. We figure out the logistics of getting it here and getting it in our customers' hands, and every little facet of that connects to marketing. How are we getting people aware of what we're making, because we want to share it with as many people as possible and find our audience and get them excited about what we're making. And yeah, it's all tied together in some way, and we all play a small part in that. It's it's only an orchestra if everybody's playing the instruments the way they should, and one of those instruments comes out, the orchestra falls apart. So everybody plays a very good part, a very critical part in that process.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, it's never just. I mean, sure. It could be as simple as we normally do these chats just about every day. We'll either all jump on the phone, or we tend to try and do video if the schedule permits, because what we do is very isolating. Like, Amy is there at working remotely from her state. Jared is, and then I'm here in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It helps to have those water cooler chats, so we
Yeah.
don't feel so isolated.
Yeah.
It's an isolated profession in what we do, because it's not like like I'm at home right now doing this. Sean's at our office, and it can be as simple as, hey, we're just shooting the shit one day, and Amy will go, hey, we thought about making such and such, and or Jared will throw out the same thing, or I will. It's none of us are ever so married to one thing that we're like, oh, that was. I don't even think we've ever even kept track of who's come up with what. It's to Jared's point. It's a bit of an orchestra, a symphony of thought that churches it up a little bit. In that, and in fact, one person might say something, and it just sends us down a road. You were talking about rabbit holes up front, how much fun those could
Yeah.
be. That's more often than not how it goes. The genesis of it. Sometimes it's succinct and to the point, and hey, we want to make that. But usually in the pursuit of one thing, we come up with 16 other things, and then just have to dial them in. But I've always been a prop maker, a builder,
Yeah.
and uh, had a long career working, privately and in association with a bunch of other companies. Uh, when QMX started, I was the original director of sales and marketing for QMX. I had done stuff way back when, really dating myself, going back as far as Unobtainium. When they did some props. I mean, and everybody in between. And I've served as headhunter for a lot of other prop companies if they can't find reference for a given prop or a replica they want to make. Somebody like me would go and run it down, whether that be just through friends in the industry, that I've worked with over the years might know where something is, or just reaching out to a given studio directly and negotiating how we might liberate an asset to use with another company who wants to replicate it. Like I said, it's a small pond with the guys who do what we do.
Yeah.
So generally, the entire atmosphere at Paragon's just I don't want to make it sound I don't want to church it up too much, but everything is creative, and without creativity and enthusiasm, nothing gets done. You can't just do the job. I mean, we've all got friends who would like to work at Paragon, but it's sometimes they're like, well, hey, I like movies. Hey, I like props. It's a weird thing. We've all talked about how so you can't go to school for it. You can't go to school to do what we do. You almost have to be kind of born into it, or just circumstance puts you on a trajectory where right? I mean, that's how all of us got into it. Just there's a certain little trajectory you get on, and essentially, if you love entertainment and all things pop culture, and as we've said, things like props and memorabilia. That allows you to have that emotional connection to something you love. Maybe it was you went to a film with your dad when you were 10, or hey, this reminds you of your first date with your wife, or whomever. And but it's that tangible emotional connection to a film, something important in life. No different than hey, guys collect baseball cards for that reason. People collect comics for that reason. It's what makes up a strong niche market, and a good strong passion for it. Is what gets it done. So I think all of us just kind of sounding things off of one another, and getting feedback from the community like you, and that's why we wanted to start doing these videos. These were already unscripted, and we figured we would just introduce a collector's mentality like yours, to ask us some stuff, and see what you would like to see too. So yeah, there's a long man. I was needed to be a park bench in there for me to rest my feet. That was such a long explanation. My God. But anyway, I was trying to be thorough. I was trying to be respectful of our guest. But save us, Amy. Pull me out.
Well, and I do actually have to wrap us up, or I'm never going to be able to get this to post on social media.
Oh man, it's 43 minutes. Yeah. So we always try to wrap these in about 30 minutes. So I don't even know if this one will work. But Daniel, thank you so much. We'd love to have you back if you want to come back and hang with us again sometime.
Absolutely.
Anybody else got anything for Daniel? We good?
Just thanks for coming on and joining us and enjoying in our little hobby here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for your support. We'll see you around soon. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks again.